Sponsored by Winwing Technologies. They couldn't offer the full cockpit, but we think this is the next best thing. Hello valued viewers, I hope you're all doing very well. Today we are in the brand new Mirage F1CE and we're looking at ground attack weapons, ground attack guns, ground attack rockets and different types of ground attack bombs. First, in the mission editor, let's do our setup. Select our Mirage and click on additional properties here. In terms of rockets, the number of rockets fired from the pod on a button press as a salvo is set up here. The F1 rockets are the larger pods, the F4 rockets are the smaller pods. A standard F1 rockets 6 and F4 a single rocket. Also, for the laser guided bombs, we can't laze the bombs ourselves, but we can change the receiver code on the bombs here to match the third party laser. Armament. We can have rockets on stations 2, 3, 5 and 6. They must be a symmetric loadout. F1 are large pods of 36 rockets at 68mm each, SNEB type, or the F4s, smaller pods of 18 rockets. There are 10 warheads to choose from. If it's a general purpose mission and you don't know what you're firing against, I tend to find high explosive anti-tank is the most effective. Note that the larger F1 pods, although carrying twice as many rockets, will also cause a lot more drag. The guns are twin Deffer cannons mounted in the belly here, and all we can do is change the ammo quantity for the time being. The type of bombs we can carry varies per station. So, stations 2 and 6, a Beluga cluster bomb, a Durandal anti-runway bomb, BR 250 or 500 kilo low drag unguided bombs, a Mark 82 500 pound low drag unguided bomb, SAMP 125 250 or 400 kilo, again low drag unguided, and also the 250 and 400 can come in the retarded variant, making low level drops possible. For stations 3 and 5 we have the addition of a GBU 12 500 pound and 16 1000 pound laser guided bombs. Remember, we can only fire them passively onto someone else's laser. For these stations, I'm going to go for a symmetric load of 250 kilo low drag unguided bombs. The belly station 4. Everything mentioned so far, plus we can have CLB4 racks, which can carry 4 Durandals, 4 Mark 82 low drags, and a mixture of the SAMPs, low drag, and high drag. I think we'll go for the Durandals, should be interesting. 4 on the belly. So we will find some targets. We will lay down gunfire on them in a dive. We'll lay down rocket fire on them in a dive. We'll lay down the non-retarded bombs here in a dive. And then we'll do a low run over the runway to drop a ripple of Durandal anti-runway bombs. Now, if you've already tried a ground attack in the Mirage F1 so far, you'll note it is incredibly difficult to get your stores on target. I've read through the manual and I've looked at the depression tables and I've found what I consider the best trade-off in terms of simplicity. So I've got my own 10-point system for getting stores on target. Step 1, weapon setup. Super easy to do. In this case, why don't we do rockets first? So, master arm on. Select rockets. This guy here, single salvo, turn to CPC. At least at the time of recording, late July 2022, this means that you will fire the rockets immediately as soon as you hit the release button, which is, by the way, that there. If you don't have this set, then there is like a second delay before the missiles leave the rocket pod. That makes it almost impossible to use. So I suggest this for now. That may change in the future, but we'll see. We need to choose the exterior or inboard stations that we're going to fire. Well, they're only mounted on the exterior stations, so I obviously want to fire the exterior stations. You do have to do this to fire them. If you remember in the mission editor, I've set it so that 6 rockets will fire per pod per button press. Next, air pressure. You must set the air pressure of the target. If you don't do that, none of the weapons will work. First, we need to find out what the current air pressure is at sea level and what the temperature is. Well, if we can look down at our barometric altimeter, I know it's 0 to sea level. It says 1013 millibars. Left Alt and Bravo will tell us it's 20 degrees Celsius. Let's go and find a converter. Any converter will do, and this is the first one I found. So first, enter the pressure at sea level. It's asking for it in pascals, which is just a derivative of millibars, as you know. So it is 10125 and add an extra 0. So what I've done is gone 1012.5 millibars, as shown there. Add 2 digits, and you get 50 on the end. 1001, 250 pascals. I hope that makes sense. Next, temperature at sea level. As we saw before, 20 degrees Celsius. What altitude is the target at? So you've got to know what you're bombing before you set your pressure, obviously. Here's some, well, they're actually good guys, so they don't shoot back. But there, I'm in F10 mode. I move the cursor around them here. I can see at the top left of the screen, they're roughly about 775 feet MASL. Right, let's type that in. 775. Calculate. Ping. It's telling us that the air pressure at the targets will be 98,493. Round that up to millibars. Obviously, it's just going to be 985. Barometric altimeter. 985. Really annoying winder. It takes forever to do this, but you have to do it. Otherwise, the plane doesn't know your AGL, your altitude above ground level. Okay, we are now zeroed to the target. Super cool thing about that is that also the HUD reading here will also read 0. So the HUD reading here we can now use with our depression tables. We're all calibrated. Without doing this, it just wouldn't work unless the target happened to be at sea level. Step 3, trim for 450 knots. So let's unpause. We need to get to 450 knots, obviously that's our speedo there. It's a single player, so I can just speed it up. Stop. Got to trim now, so that we are level in terms of pitch at 450 to 500 knots. Also, you may have to trim in a bit of aileron as well. Pretty happy there. Next, we need to neutralise our yaw. This aircraft is really sensitive in terms of yaw. So we're going to find our slip gauge, which is here. Now already you can see that it's off centre. My rudder foot position is slightly off. I've got to travel at 450 to 500 knots, which we are doing now, and get that guy in the centre by using my rudder pedals. So let's go and do that now. You can see it moving about. Okay, that's perfect. What I'm going to do now is physically lock my feet in position. I'm using rudder pedals, obviously. Make sure I don't move them at all now. That's going to mean that when we come to do our dive at this speed, our aircraft will be perfectly trimmed in terms of yaw slip for the dive. It's going to increase our accuracy no end. This is something I also do for, if possible, for warbirds as well. Next, we want to climb above the target by 6,000 to 10,000 feet, depending how heavy your aircraft is. Mine is pretty heavy, to be honest. So I'm going to do my best and just get as high as I can. Burner on. You're going to be doing most of this with your burner on. Right, if anyone sees an airfield with a bunch of baddies in, please let me know. There it is. I see it. Don't really need to fly offset to the target. Just fly straight towards the target at this point. It's that runway there, just beyond it. Right, kind of did a half-arse Immelman there. Let's see how high we are. We are at 16,000 feet. Actually went a bit higher than I intended to be honest. Pretty much the higher the better. It gives me more time to get on target. But at least 6,000 feet AGL. Point 6, I need to aim at the target in terms of azimuth and get wings level, which is a lot easier said than done. So where is that target? There it is. And we'll get wings level. Now, I don't mean in terms of pitch level, I mean in terms of wings level. Okay, and you do that simply by marrying up the blue attitude lines with this guy here. That is about level there. Okay. Next, we want to use our ADI, not our attitude indicator. This green guy in here is our attitude indicator. That won't work. You need to use your ADI, which is here, to make sure you are diving to the target in a dive of more than 15 degrees. How high can you go? Well, don't be stupid. If you come down at 90 degrees, obviously you're going to crash. Be sensible. 15 to maybe 35 degrees. So you can see that would be 0, 10, 20. I'm about 18 degrees, something like that. So I'm just within threshold at the moment. Maybe a bit steeper would help. Point 8. I must achieve at least 450 knots. This is all to do with the depression tables, which I will not bore you with. But if we're going to use 0 milliradians depression, which is this guy here, which we are, which means you just don't have to change it at all, we must go at least 450 knots. If you go above 500, you can start getting into Mach tuck territory, which will mess the control of your pitch up. So you want to try and stabilize between 450 and 500. Next, how are we going to aim? Well, the manual will tell you to use this dot here. Just don't try and use it. It's so freaking hard to use. You'll just get frustrated. Use the fixed sight. The fixed sight is this guy here, this little kind of orange line. Technically, I think you're supposed to use the bottom of it there. By the way, you can only use the fixed sight with 0 milliradians depression, which is why I like this particular table we're using. You may use the bottom there. I say use the middle there. It gives you a bit more leeway. So the middle of that orange line is where I'm going to put on the target, if I can. So all of the preparation I've done so far sounds nerdy and weird and annoying, but you have to do it. If you miss one of those steps, it just won't work. If your speed is wrong, it won't work. If your wings aren't level, it won't work, and so on. Right, we're nearly there. So let's and down the target. Throttle is going to be about 50%. Should be enough to go 450 knots or above without completely overspeeding. Quick check. 400. Yeah, that'll achieve 450. And come down to about quarter throttle now. Alrighty then. Line the target up. Wings level. All is well. We'll get a little bit closer before we talk about the last bit. Your trim would already be done from what we were doing before. Okay, let's talk about the last bit. When do we release? So you can see I've got that guy right in the middle there. I want to hold it there, which is again easier said than done. I want to release when this guy hits 1500 feet. Remember, this has been calibrated to the target altitude. When you do that, push the button. Baddie dies, in theory. So let's try it. Pausing like this really doesn't help, by the way. It makes it... sorry. Frustrating, that is. I'm going to try doing that again in one go. Whenever you pause it like that, it just... your muscle memory just goes. Let's try that again. I'm going to speed it up. When you're off target, I mean, assuming there's no defences like there isn't here, then I'm just going to climb up with afterburner on, up to, again, at least 6,000 feet AGL. Make sure you're not moving your rudder at all, and resist the urge to use the rudder to aim at the target at the last minute. Make sure they're locked in position. You'll only skew the shot. Right, rudder's already set up. Speed is perfect. So get in line with the target. Check. Get wings level. Check. Check the attitude. Pitch is 18 degrees. Check. Maybe a bit steeper would be good. Speed. Check. Get the thing on the thing. Check. Run in and do a thing. Wait for the gauge on the right. Just scroll down. See how much easier it is without pausing. Boom, boom. Perfect. See how that was literally pixel perfect. Right in the face. As long as you stick to all those parameters that we've said there, do everything as we said there, it should, in theory, hit every time. Now, the same is going to apply for the guns. Because of the particular depression table that I've shown, the same should apply for the guns. So let's turn the guns on. Turn that switch to middle, and that switch back. Press the gun switch, which is, by the way, that there. And to enable the trigger for the gun, press that there and that there. I'm going to try with the guns now. My feet are starting to shake annoyingly because I've had this rudder position for so long, so I'm going to try to do this with shaky feet. Theoretically I should just about to make it. I'm really poorly lately, so everything's difficult at the moment. Right, there he is. Got a nice smoke marker there. I'd usually go out a little... no, that's about fine actually. Alrighty then. Right, let's repeat the procedure. So, wings level over target. Come on. Check. Yaw settle. Attitude. Check, 20 degrees. Speed. Check, 450 knots. Oh, I'm a little off this time, but we've got time to correct. Right down to low throttle now because we're slightly overspeeding this time. Don't want to get into this region. Alrighty then, what have we got? Okay, trying to get the thing on the thing. Wait for the number. Fire. Look at that! First time on the friggin' internet. Not bad, huh? Didn't even need a... well, anyway, there you go. Proof of concept. Do everything... like, we've just spent hours getting this procedure together, so that's why we've done it, to save you the time. Follow every step of the procedure. It will work every time, assuming there's not a big wind or anything. I think we'll reset now and go and lay down some bombs. Okay, in a fresh plane. So, let's go do some bombs. Durandals first on the belly of the aircraft. Master arm on. Check. Select the bonds. Fuselage. That one there. Check. Fusing. Do we want inert, delay, or instantaneous? Instantaneous, please. Do we want salvo or single release? And I want single release, please. So I have to press the button 4 times to drop 4 bombs, and it's that button there. I can't really go anywhere unless I set the air pressure again. So set the air pressure to the target with. Okay. There's nothing else to it. We're going to be dropping these at low level above a runway. It's a massive target. Only an idiot can miss it. So watch me miss it. Just fly above the runway at a couple of 100 feet and drop the bombs. In terms of what altitude, I just do it visually, to be honest. I guess 200 to 300 feet. I've not found any problems with dropping the bombs too low yet, although that might be an issue further down the line. Oh, there is a runway, so let me get on a radial. In terms of speed, 450 to 500, I guess.
Minimum release is 200 feet.
Ah, where did you read that, by the way, Elsie? It's not in the manual.
Wiki about it.
Oh, right.
No,
Okay.
I just read it on.
Okay, well, in Wiki it says 200 feet. In the play manual it doesn't say anything, which is pretty much the whole manual about everything. It doesn't really say anything. You just have to kind of figure it out yourself. Look at this for a radial intercept value humanoids. Whoosh, gonna come running over the mountain. Obviously, you do your ingress super low if it was defended, but it's not defended. So I'm bombing up friendly runway because I'm naughty. So I slightly missed the radial, which is annoying. We also have speed 450. And here we go. And 300 feet, 250. Bomb, 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 bomb. External view. Boom, boom, boom. Look at that. Wowza. Right on the centre line as well, Elsie. That's a dead runway. Simple as that. Now let's go and bomb. Oh, all those trucks are moving. That's annoying. Now let's go and do the other bomb. This is the hardest bit, and it is really, really hard to do in any depressible Pipper plane. It's dropping bombs like this. Taking F5, really hard. So, use those. Now we're going to do wing bombs. What we're going to do, what are they? They're a pair of 250 kilo low drag bombs. So we need salvo. Always drop salvo in this case, so it drops the left and the right. It'll be impossible to fly this plane with one bomb hanging off a wing and one not. Instant, yes. I don't even think delay fuse worked. Stand to be corrected. Leave this here in the middle. That's set. Air pressure is already set. So for this, we've got to do our 10-point plan. Setup, done. Air pressure, done. Next, we've got to trim for 500 knots. Notice a different speed to the rockets. We're using a different depression table here. Look at that! I blew a house up. How did that even happen? Best not ask. That's 500 knots near as, and we're trimmed. Next, your slip. That's near enough for me. Right, 0.5 to climb to 6 to 10,000 feet AGL. Away from the target, obviously. Generally speaking, the higher the better. Again, the higher you go, the more ingress run you've got at the chosen pitch. Gone loads out now. Gone about 6 or 7 miles out. So we've got plenty of running time. The next thing on my list, I need to set my depressible Pipper to 55 milliradians. Just pause it there. That is this guy here, down to 55. That is the particular depression table that I've chosen to use. 55. Alright. Let's carry on, get on target. Get our azimuth on the correct azimuth. Jiggle it about a bit. No, lost it. God damn it. There it is. There it is. Alrighty then. Right, we are on the right azimuth. We're wings level. And I'm just going to pause it there. What's next on our list? Next, we want to dive at as close as we can get to 20 degrees. It takes a bit of preparation, but if we were to dive now onto target, which is there, slightly to the right, there, and there, that's diving on the target. We want at 20 degrees, and currently on our ADI, that's only 14 degrees, so we're going to go a little bit further. Try again. 20 degrees, almost 20 degrees, and actually that's our longitudinal axis there, so that's there. It's actually diving on the target, to be honest. There, 20 degrees. 10, 20 degrees. That's got to be accurate this time. 20 degrees plus or minus a few degrees. This time we're going to be 500 knots for this depression table, and ping 500 knots. Mustn't overspeed or the bombs will go long. I'd rather slightly underspeed than overspeed, so I'm going to come right back on the throttle here. Next, we're using our depressible pipper rather than our static pipper. So the depressible one is this dot here. It's kind of a pain in the butt to use, but we're just going to have to get used to it and use it. Finally, put the pipper on the target and drop at 1500 feet again. So let's try and do all that without overspeeding. Wish me the best. And of course, like I said, it's super hard to do. To judge my speed, a real pilot will kind of use a peripheral vision, but I just use my, I use the wind noise, to be honest. Listen to the wind noise. Sounds like 500 knots to me. Put the thing on the thing and pull the trigger at 1500. Ah, slightly wrong. Oh, there we go, not bad. Ha! Right in his face, look. Oh, I blew myself up. If you saw there, it's a good case for using a fusilier. I actually dropped it too low. I dropped it at 1300 feet rather than 1500 feet, so I was 200 feet too low. Consequently, I've actually damaged my own aircraft. In fact, I look okay there. But what I do is I use the depression table that gives me the best accuracy. That's pretty much always the one that allows us to drop at the lowest altitude. With that comes danger, obviously. There's always the chance of hitting ourselves with our own bomb, especially if you're going to use a 400 kilo warhead. There are other entries to using the depression table with higher drops, but you're going to get less accuracy. It gets harder and harder. If you do the 1500 foot drop, you can get the bomb on target pretty much all the time. But like I said there, I was 200 feet too low, so I just got a bit of splash damage. So let's just go over that again. We showed how to use rockets and guns, which is pretty much the same technique. 400 knots, 15 plus degrees dive, 450 to 500 knots. The bombs, same technique, but you must achieve 20 degrees dive, or as close as you can. You must achieve 500 knots and hold it at 500 knots, otherwise the bomb won't hit. And try and release at 1500 instead of 1300 like me, and you won't kill yourself. I should say as well, as soon as the bombs drop, pull the plane up. I probably didn't pull up quick enough either. And in terms of the Durandals or high drag drops, just drop them like we showed. It is good fun. Once you get used to it, you'll never be as accurate as, you know, a modern Hornet or something. But once you start hitting targets first time, it gets quite satisfying. Anything you want to add, RC?
Nothing to add.
I hope you enjoyed it and see you later.